Hola peeps. Welcome back to the Weirder Psychic channel. If you can even call it that, whatever this channel is. Um, we don't go in for the definitions, it's not important. God doesn't care what you call him, she, it, they either. So, um, yeah. So, where do we start? This could be a long video. As I've said before, if you want to watch this on one. Are my glasses straight? They're mostly straight. If you want to watch this on 1.25 speed or 1.5 speed or 1.75 speed to consume it more quickly, hey, that's fine with me. I do that to when I'm watching psychic videos all the time because, as I mentioned, the space between thoughts is such that no one could talk fast enough, really, when you're speaking off the cuff, or even when you're reading a script, which I never do. Okay, so let's see. Let's start with a couple simple things right off the top. Okay, my mom, she has a pond in her backyard, and she has many bird feeders in her backyard. Where's the camera? Okay, and including ones for the Orioles, and we have an orb sighting here for you. And I think these images are pretty cool. So here's an image of the backyard without the orbs. So let's see. Okay, I can't see what you can see, but I assume that it's pretty good. So you see, look where the feeders are. You see where the feeders are. Okay, so no orbs. Then in a separate image, which I printed out. Here we go. Bingo. You see that big sucker right in the middle? Look at that thing. Look at that big honking thing. So, that sure looks like not even an orb to me, but a cluster, like almost like a angelic form. So I suggested to Mom that it could be a spirit guide or angel showing off in front of the feeder. So I thought that was pretty neat. You want to see it one more time? Okay. Yeah. So that's if you're an orb follower, to me that's a pretty good one. I will briefly mention a very odd dream that I had the other night, which follows a theme in dreams. I don't know if other people have these dreams, but I always have a dream that my truck is stolen, and usually in the dream it's stolen a successive number of times. Like I have the truck, it gets stolen, and then I get a new one, and that gets stolen, and I never know who's stealing it, and it's very frustrating. And oftentimes my equipment is in there. Well, this one was different because I actually caught the thieves this time, so I'm hoping that's a good sign. So I'm gonna show you a drawing I did of something that was in the dream. Okay, so this is a machine that was in my dream, in which my truck was stolen. And as you can see, my truck is at the top of this machine, and it was very small. And the machine might have been even taller, actually, but I ran out of paper here. In the dream, this machine was sitting on a street, and it was like a sanitation machine of some kind, and it was hooked into the sewer system for a city. So those are supposed to be a couple buildings in the background, and I was looking at it from the ground up, so it was even more like, monolithic from my point of view because it was so tall. Yet at the very top, I could see my black truck, and whoever had stolen my truck was kicking it. So they were adding insult to injury by kicking my truck. So I guess they really didn't like me. But the funny part was, I was looking around for my truck, and then I see this machine on the street, which is tied into the sewers, doing some kind of cleaning for God only knows what reason. And there's a bunch of workers around it too, who were visible. And I'm like, they got my truck, damn it! And then they're kicking it, but I'm yelling at them from the ground, but they can't see me. But then I find a guy on the ground who's like wearing the same uniform as the guys running this machine, and he's sitting in his own truck. And I think I grabbed him by the collar. I either opened the door or grabbed him through the window, and I was like, "What are you doing with my truck? Give me my truck back." And presumably he agreed to return my truck. So whoever my truck thieves are, This time I caught them, so I presumably got my truck back. So that was a dream from 3 or 4 nights ago. Okay? Orbs and truck dreams. But the dream I had 2 nights ago, I recorded on my phone as soon as I woke up because I knew, like some of my other very, very vivid and kind of mystical dreams, that I would forget some of the details if I waited fully until morning. So I will admit this is kind of I recorded details about this dream into my phone. I'm going to play it into the microphone. I recorded at 5:41 a.m. a couple nights ago. And the theme is about it's like a racial reckoning or a racial justice dream. It was really powerful, and I hope that that's communicated by this recording because I haven't listened to it since then. So perhaps I'll even pause it as we go if there's more to interject. But see what you think of it, and I'll see what I think of it too because I'm going to be listening at the same time and sipping whiskey. Okay, here we go. Ready?
I had a dream in the old house that I grew up in. It was the middle of the night, and yet there were construction workers outside the house, and I could hear the machinery a bit, and I thought that was all odd that they were there late, but I didn't know what to make of it. And then there was like a man, a full-size man, in my bed, lying next to me under the covers, and I thought that he was one of the construction workers, taking a nap, taking a break. But when I checked, I can't remember, I think I decided eventually to push him, like, out of the bed, to get him out, and to get him awake. And when I did, and he rolled out of the bed, out of the side, it wasn't a construction worker, it was a somewhat young black man with a shaved head and his shirt off. He was muscular, but not huge, but big enough. And so that was a surprise because he wasn't one of the construction workers. And when he popped up, he had his fists closed, and he said he wanted to fight, but he didn't seem like he wanted to fight. He seemed like he felt obligated to fight. And like I sensed his frustration, but then I also sensed that he wasn't like inherently bad. Like there was something good in him, but he was mentally, he was somewhat mentally troubled. And so I kind of like said, I don't want to fight you. I'm not going to fight you, even though I had my hands raised. And it was like my reaction. I knew my reaction was really important. So I made sure not to behave aggressively, and then we sort of migrated to the hallway, the carpeted hallway, the small hallway between all 3 of the bedrooms, my mom's, my brother's, and mine. I never saw my brother in the dream at all. Not sure why. Maybe just one extra detail that didn't need to be in this one. And my mom to come to the doorway. Not in a state of alarm, though, just called out to her, but I can't remember how I said, or what I said, but like I knew that she had a pistol, and I may have been implying in my whatever words I used for her to consider grabbing the pistol, or some suggestion of that. But I didn't really want her to shoot the man, and I hoped if she did shoot him, it wouldn't be a kill shot. But when she got up, she didn't, I don't know if she picked up on my vibe, but she didn't behave aggressively either. She did not get the gun, and then we were standing in her bedroom for a moment or two, and talking with the man, and we were just trying to engage him and talk about his feelings and his frustrations and stuff, and how he didn't need to do anything hostile to get his needs met, and that we would sincerely try to help him in whatever way we could. But I was still wary. I was still paying attention. I was still not thinking we were completely out of danger. I was just treading softly because we were talking him down, and then we convinced him to basically come to the kitchen downstairs with us and have some food to eat. And so we started to cook like breakfast on the stove kind of stuff, small stuff, and I think he had a beer too that I offered him.
A beer.
I remember getting a glass from the cabinet. He'd picked a good beer, like from my beer selection, of fancy ones. And yeah, we just talked it through with him and shared some food. And then I think what happened is, I think he must have maybe like kind of given himself up, like for the break-in. He didn't actually break in, though. There was some revelation that he had acquired a key somehow, somewhat easily. Like somebody had keys, like for all the houses. I don't know if it was the Department of Public Works, and that was like related to them being outside, but it was like something where like you think you're totally secure, but like anybody could get a key if they really wanted to, which I don't believe that's necessarily, I don't think that's actually true. And in this dream it was true. It was more like the protocol at like an office building, where like any office would actually be accessible by maintenance if needed, so you shouldn't assume too much privacy. But anyway, he had gotten the key and just come in, and and the fact that he even just laid down in bed next to me, but like it was never really aggressive, and even when he popped up, when I sort of like rolled him out of bed, his desire to fight was not strong. It was like an obligation he felt. So it seems that he like gave himself up to the police, maybe, because then I believe we were in a courtroom, and I did feel like empathy and a connection to him, especially at that time. it was stronger than at the house. And then when this is the part that was kind of like mystical, I guess you could say, when he turned towards us. Well, my mom and I were recounting aspects of details about what had happened, and I was explaining about his nature, or how I perceived his nature, and that he wasn't malicious, that he had a good heart. Like it was more of a mistake, a bad idea just a bad idea that turned out okay because no one was hurt. And after we said these few words, but it's weird because we were behind him in the court, like he had his back to us, so it's not like I don't know if we were relating this to a lawyer, but it seemed it was not about being on the stand. I'm not sure why.
Oh no, my phone turned off. All right, I'll find the spot.
So his back was to us. We were behind him in the assumed too much.
Sorry.
Just a bad idea that turned out.
There will be a little overlap and repeat because I didn't know exactly where this left off, but it's pretty close. And there's about 5 minutes left on this if you're still with me.
Okay, because no one was hurt.
Back in the courtroom.
After we said these few words, but it's weird because we were behind him in the court, like he had his back to us, so it's not like I don't know if we were relating this to a lawyer, but it seemed it was not about being on the stand. I'm not sure why, but when we were relating the details about his nature, but then so his back was to us. We were behind him in the galley, or what do they call it? The gallery. The seating of the courtroom for the public. But then when he turned and looked me in the eye, I had this really strong reaction, like I could feel all of his pain and sadness, and then it was more than that. It was like then it seemed like there were like, not like he was almost like representing, I don't want to necessarily say all black people, but kind of it was like that, like when he turned it was him, but then there were like all these presences around all of us, like it felt like thousands of people or maybe more, like you could feel all the energies of all the maybe ancestors around him. And when he turned and I felt this powerful empathy for him, I started to cry, and then my crying got stronger, and then it turned into just full on wailing. Like it was like I could feel deep historical pain, and it just made me weep uncontrollably, wail, and then as I wailed out loud, then all these presences, I guess spiritual presences, then they wailed, and then it was this powerful release of emotion, and a kind of bonding to something like, it was like, it felt like cosmic at that point, like just the amount of emotion and feeling, same thing, that was flowing out. And I don't wanna say that I have any sense of the true historical, long suffering of African Americans in this country in particular, but like in this moment, it did feel like that, like that all of that feeling was all there, and just like, and then the wailing, the release, the acknowledgement was like a purging and helping to get past that feeling and to help this man and to acknowledge history and like try to like move towards more equality. And I don't remember if we like addressed the judge or not, or the court, and like asked for leniency, but it seemed like that was part of it. And then there was like a kind of like a less important, seeming less important part of the dream after that, about like, it was like a meditation, I guess. So I don't want to say it wasn't important, but it's hard to describe it as. Then it was like we were like, the courtroom part was over. We were on the street, and there were just many, many, many people. Many of them black, but also whites, and presumably other races that were all like kind of like in a slow, quiet meditation, like a healing meditation together. And we're like reflecting on racial disharmony and how to make the future better through more empathy and more understanding. So it was a pretty powerful dream. The imagery was really strong. There you go.
Okay. Yeah, that's it. I'm glad I played that from the recording, because in hearing it again for the first time since yesterday morning when I recorded it, there were lots of details I didn't remember. So yeah, I would call it a dream of maybe like racial reckoning or racial reconciliation, or like, how the next stage of maybe some racial healing in this country and in other countries for historical inequities. I don't know what like why the dream now. It certainly could be related to the shooting at the Tops Market here in Buffalo, which is not super far from where I live, but is really a very different section of town. Like, people even, I know many musicians. I have a lot of musician friends of all colors and persuasions. And there's a black saxophone player I know who's really great player. And he once, I think one of his bands was called, what was it called? East of Main. Meaning east of Main Street, and Main Street in Buffalo is almost like a dividing line between the more sort of average and above average neighborhoods by value, or by income, and then like the further east you go over from Maine, it gets a little more sketchy into the east side, and when there's violence, that's often where the violence is, and it's a lot of predominantly black neighborhoods. And so his band was kind of like commenting on maybe where he came from, east of Maine. Not sure where I was going with that exactly. Oh, I do. Obviously. Well, a little bit of this kicked in. It's my first of the evening. Um, but it's a school night, so I can't go crazy anyway. Um, the shooting in Buffalo, the mass shooting in which so many black people in particular, but I believe a few white people as well, were killed at the Tops Market, which is a local chain that was on the east side of Buffalo. So maybe the dream relates to that. It was powerful though. It was like it was symbolic of a kind of hopeful reconciliation. So maybe, hopefully, that's a glimpse of the future, or the near future, or the now coming into play as we try to deal with a lot of the history of this country. I got cats all around me. Hey, Gabe. Gabe's over here, and Shay's over here right next to me on the couch. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddies. Hey, boys. Hey, buddies. And I'm getting text messages, too. Oh, maybe you heard that. Hi, Gaby. How you doing, buddy? I'm still trying to get these guys to get along. It's taking time. I will say I have prayed to Spirit about it for help about how to get them to reconcile. Gaby, come here, buddy. Love you too. I was petting Shay, so then Gabe gets jealous. Then you pet Gabe, Shay gets jealous. Trying to get them to understand how they are equal. So I've been asking Spirit for help with that. Anyway, again, a distraction. So maybe that's the timing of the dream. It's funny though, as I was listening to the dream, I also realized that some of the details of the plot mirrored the finale of Better Call Saul, the TV show, which literally just ended last night with a fantastic finale. Like, some of the plot details were similar, but I had my dream one night before the Saul episode, because it deals with jail and incarceration and justice, etc. So maybe that was somehow in there too, but who can say? So that's about it. Be curious to know your thoughts on that. I don't want to make this too much longer, but I would just say, as far as current events go, pardon me, that we are on the slow, correct track. Yes, everyone is tired of seeing 45 quote unquote evade justice, but there's nobody in the world any of us would want to be less than him. I mean, he's pretty much cooked. And I said this to friends the other day when I saw them at the farmer's market, that I don't care. I don't care if he ever goes to jail. I don't care. The only thing I care about is that he's marginalized and prevented from ever being in power again. That's all we really need. Well, I mean, we could we could use a lot more, but that's what we really need. And January 6th, as I mentioned in a previous video, the J6 Commission was a turning point. They daggered him effectively, as they were meant to do. And even though some of his base is all mad because they think this is Department of Justice overreach, the sane ones among the Republicans and the independents know that it is absolutely not overreach, and that there's never been a precedent this criminal as this man. And it is my sincere hope that in a universe in which balance appears to be the rule of things, the rule of the land, or the rule of space and time, that since he has taken things so far and so much further in the negative direction than anyone has probably since World War II, that his comeuppance must be of equal force. By which I mean, I somewhat expect that there will be revelations from the Mar-a-Lago raid. And yeah, call it a raid. Who cares? I mean, it was by subpoena, but it's a raid. I don't care what they call it. I don't know why people are wasting time debating whether to call it a raid or whatever else. It's a raid. I mean, an announced raid, but it's a raid. So what? He deserved to be raided. You can't leave. You can't leave office with classified documents that don't belong to you. They always belong to the government. There's no declassification system that he referenced for taking documents and keeping them in your basement at your little spa in Florida. So no, screw you, no. But aside from that, to try to finish the point, it he has taken things so far in the negative direction, caused so much destruction. It seems to me that he must be equally, well, for lack of a better word, destroyed. So if he was in bed with Russia and other countries and selling secrets, or if he was involved with Epstein and Maxwell, and his lovely wife is somehow tied into all that, I expect those things to eventually be revealed. Now, the timetable, we don't know, you know, because some things, even if the government and the FBI knew, they wouldn't release them because of trying to protect the country in some sense psychologically. But I expect in time those things will be revealed, and so the extent to which he destroys, he must be destroyed. I mean, in universal balance terms. So I would expect something to come out that really puts the nail in to where, I mean, J6 should have done it for most sane people, but even for his last clingers on, there might yet be something more that would get them to say no. Even I'm out of this, and then whatever's left of his cult, however many cult leaders are left, that's their problem, and they have issues that we can't solve, or they just truly want an authoritarian leader, which is the case in many countries, and that's how you end up with them when a small minority takes over. But that isn't going to happen here. We're not going to submit to minority rule, and you can already feel the pendulum swinging the other way. And as every psychic that I follow says, the Democrats will take Congress in the fall in full. They will gain seats in the Senate. They may or may not lose seats in the House, but they will retain their majority. And then we're going to see 2 years of like lightning legislation, major change. And I'm looking forward to it. And it's not long in coming. Yes, there will be election drama. Yes, the Supreme Court in October, I think it's on their schedule, may even return the vote, quote unquote, to some states to let state legislatures make the ultimate decision on, you know, who gets the electors, which is a whole load of crap. But somehow, with spirit and in the plan of the universe, and even in the astrology and the inevitability of change, it's going to come out okay. We're going to be on top. And I was telling some of this to a very good friend of mine who lives in San Francisco, who is he's still skeptical of spiritual stuff. Yet he calls my keeping track of what the psychics on YouTube say the Psychic Friends Network. You know, remember when Dionne Warwick, the singer, had the Psychic Friends Network hotline? So he always says, "Oh, what's new from Dionne?" You know, Dionne Warwick, he means, and he's joking, but like he listens, and I think he understands that, there may be something there, because he even read my book, and he said, "I'm not a book reader, and I read your book, and I really liked it and found it plausible." And that was the whole point, to try to make a belief in spirit have a plausible foundation, like a more grounded foundation, instead of being too foofy. That was part of my goal in writing that book. So he said to me the other day when I was telling him like reasons for optimism, he said, you must sleep pretty well at night, if like kind of like if you really believe that," was the subtext. And I said, "You know what? I do. I mean, there are tragedies still. Ukraine is just beyond imagination, but on the whole, as far as the future goes, I do sleep well at night, and I hope you will or do too, because there are many reasons for optimism. Yes, justice moves painfully slow, but it's moving. Again, just the fact that the Democrats are in power and may have yet more power still in just a few short months' time to do some pretty major reconstruction, including SCOTUS term limits. They have a SCOTUS bill on the basically ready to go that phases out old justices, and Thomas would be the first to be phased out, which would be pretty nice. And the Democrats will certainly, if they are able, they will codify abortion rights nationally. I expect that to happen next year. Like, I fully believe it, as if it's already happened. And climate change is, we're starting to address it. I mean, the new bill that they got through with Manchin and Sinema is beginning to address climate change, which will be one of the major challenges of the next 20, 30 years and beyond. So there's reason for optimism, though that doesn't mean it'll all be easy. And that's where I'm going to leave it. Okay, so I hope this was interesting to you. Your feedback is always most welcome. Excuse me. I love to read the comments, and I respond to as many as I can, if not all. And I don't know why my phone's blowing up with text messages now, but we'll see what that's about. And please like, share, and subscribe. If you'd like to support my creative efforts in music and in writing, I'm at robfalgiano.com. You can join me on Facebook now. You can join me on Instagram if you like. I have been working again on the next two books, which it's Life is Magic Part 1 and 2. I have been writing a lot of new stuff for Part 1 that I'm excited about, and even a way of helping it transition to Part 2. So hopefully I can get, I need to find an editor to do the copy editing for Part 1, and hopefully I can kind of get that in the queue of things soon. But I have a lot else going on that I won't mention, a lot of musical things that I'm doing right now, including the 30th anniversary of an old band of mine for October. But my music is on Spotify and Apple Music, and you can buy CDs online. You can buy them from my website, etc., etc. A lot of my songs cross over with the things I've written and my spiritual beliefs. So if you're a person who's into lyrics, you can dig down into the lyrics, and you will find all this natural crossover with the things I talk about and the things I've written about. So I'm not a natural salesman for myself. I can sell anybody else's stuff all day. So I'll leave it there. Thanks very much. Take care. Hope you're well. Stay hopeful and positive. And I'll talk to you soon, I hope. Okay, bye.